Today we got two mighty dark side warriors going head to head. Kylo Ren versus the Grand Inquisitor. Who comes out on top? Let's find out. The son of Han Solo and Leia Organa, Kylo Ren was once a Jedi apprentice who was drawn to the dark side of the Force and eventually became the leader of the First Order. Being the heir to the Skywalker bloodline, Ben Solo was filled with raw, untainted potential that frightened Luke Skywalker and drew the attention of Supreme Leader Snoke. After being corrupted by the dark side, Kylo desired to become just as powerful as his grandfather Darth Vader. While Kylo Ren might not necessarily be as powerful as Vader, he is still very powerful both with the Force and lightsaber combat. With the dark side flowing through him, he's exceptionally skilled at using the Force for telekinetic attacks. He sent Rey flying up against a tree, pulled a man up by the neck, able to pull a house down around Luke Skywalker. He's also proficient using telekinetic halts in a fight, so he can freeze a target and immobilize them, hold back a lightsaber blade, or even hold a blaster bolt in midair for over a minute. Using his teachings from both the light side and the dark side of the Force, Kylo Ren is skilled in lightsaber combat. After going to the dark side, Kylo was tasked with eliminating any remnants of the Jedi, and thus destroyed Luke Skywalker's new generation of Jedi and earned himself the name of the Jedi Killer among the First Order. And while it has been debated how skilled Kylo truly is with a lightsaber, all evidence points to Ren being a very formidable fighter. He managed to beat Finn even while severely injured, lost to Rey only because of her lineage to Palpatine and the Force potential that comes along with that. He defeated all the Knights of Ren and many elite Praetorian guards, and dared to earn himself the nickname Jedi Killer for managing to wipe out all of Luke Skywalker's students. So, as we got one corner, Kylo Ren. But, into the ring, the other corner, well, it's the Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor served the Galactic Empire as the Chief Jedi Hunter, reporting directly to Darth Vader. As his title implies, he was the head of the Empire's Inquisitors, being put in charge of people like the Fifth Brother, Seventh Sister, and Ninth Sister. The Grand Inquisitor is one of the most prolific Jedi exterminators of all time, demonstrating incredible skill and knowledge of the Jedi that was second only to Darth Vader himself. He's a formidable fighter, being fast enough to casually dodge and deflect blaster fire, and strong enough to overpower Kanan and other Jedi. Having spent plenty of time studying the Jedi and their ways, he's learned how to use and counter every single form of lightsaber combat, being so skilled that he can examine and identify an opponent's fighting style within seconds, then using this knowledge to exploit their weaknesses. He was actually trained by none other than Lord Vader, managed to defeat Kanan on several occasions, defeat Jedi Master Jocasta Nu, and even temporarily hold his own against Vader, although Vader definitely wasn't going all out in that fight. The Grand Inquisitor is also a skilled Force user, as he's been able to overpower Jedi and other Force users with telekinetic blast, and especially proficient with throwing a saber at opponents. So, who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, besides being from different time periods, Kylo Ren and the Grand Inquisitor are actually quite similar in some key ways. Both linked to Darth Vader, both obsessed with the Jedi and destroying them, even both being proficient in defeating Jedi and are known as Jedi Killers. But only one's going to come out on top here, so who's it going to be? Well, today, that's what we're going to find out. And starting out, I'm really not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about physicality, just because I think these two match up well enough that it won't be the be-all, end-all in this fight. They're comparably strong, and if one does turn out to be stronger than the other, they should both have the ability to amp and increase their strength using the Force. So this should be a draw. The Grand Inquisitor has been completely unfazed of being near point-blank explosions, while Kylo Ren was shot with Chewbacca's bowcaster, which packs a lot more punch than the average blaster, yet didn't go down, and actually continued to aggravate the wound in order to increase his rage and connection with the dark side, basically treating it like a power-up. And then both were also fast enough to casually dodge and block blaster fire and lightsaber strikes. So again, that's a draw there. So really looking like this fight is going to come down to their lightsaber skill and their Force abilities. So how does that necessarily play out? Well, first off, just talking about training and fighting knowledge, the Grand Inquisitor used to be a guard at the Jedi Temple, And as such, he's actually got a surprising amount of knowledge of the Jedi, their history, and their fighting methods. It's even been said that only Darth Vader surpasses him when it comes to knowledge about the Jedi. He's also been said to have been trained in all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, knowing both how to use them and how to counter them. He's even so knowledgeable about the Jedi and their fighting styles that he's able to pick up on a fighting style after only seeing it for a few seconds. Even figure out who a Jedi is and who the Jedi's master was simply by watching them fight. On top of all that, the Grand Inquisitor was even personally trained by Darth Vader in order to pass on that training and knowledge to other Inquisitors. It's kind of difficult to argue that Kylo Ren has more training and knowledge than that. Now, that's not to say that Kylo Ren isn't incredibly well trained. He went through his training under Luke Skywalker as both attempted to rebuild the Jedi Order, traveling across the galaxy in search of ancient Jedi lore. However, as Skywalker brought along other apprentices, he was unable to focus as much on Solo, and that's where Supreme Leader Snoke came in. After falling to the dark side, burning down the Jedi Order, and killing Luke's other Jedi apprentices, Kylo Ren continued his training in the dark side under Snoke, even going so far as to travel to Dagobah and enter into the Cave of Evil. However, when you're talking about lightsaber training, Kylo can't really compare with the Grand Inquisitor, knowing every single form of lightsaber combat. But that's not to say that the Grand Inquisitor is necessarily the better fighter here. Actually, they're fairly similar. And if anything, Ben Solo might technically even be the more skilled one. The Grand Inquisitor has consistently fought against and beaten Kanan, but Kanan never really had much formal training as a Jedi. He outfought Jedi Master Jocasta Nu, although it was directly stated that Jocasta Nu wasn't necessarily a formidable fighter, even for a Jedi Master. I mean, she was a librarian after all. And then, most impressively, he did manage to temporarily hold his own against Darth Vader, though this was a Vader who had just been augmented to be a cyborg only a few days prior, and was a Vader who wasn't necessarily going all out. On the other hand, while Kylo Ren did struggle against Finn during Force Awakens, you can really attribute this to him being injured with Chewie's bowcaster. Plus, other than that one fight, Kylo showed some impressive skill in every other battle. He only lost to Rey because Kylo was specifically holding back in order to turn Rey to the dark side. And then Rise of Skywalker did a whole lot better against Rey, when again, Ren was holding back and Rey wasn't. In fact, you can argue that Kylo was actually winning that fight up until the moment when Leia intervened, allowing Rey the opening and opportunity to go for the kill shot. I mean, Kylo Ren was even able to dodge and dance around Rey's strikes without even igniting his lightsaber. That's insanely impressive. I mean, Rey is a Palpatine after all. On top of that, Kylo Ren was also able to take on Snoke's Praetorian guards and kill all the Knights of Ren, defeating them all in a 6-on-1 fight. He's also shown some great improvisational skill and out-of-the-box thinking, a lot like his father and his uncle, as seen by picking up a Praetorian guard's weapon in order to dual-wield swords, and more impressively, diving inside a Zillo beast in order to kill it from the inside out. However, I will say that the two's lightsaber fighting skill is roughly equal enough to where a whole lot of the fight actually hinges upon their Force abilities, and that's where Kylo Ren is able to take a pretty large advantage. The Grand Inquisitor is skilled and knowledgeable in the Force and with the dark side, but he just has nowhere near the raw potential of Kylo. I mean, he is a Skywalker, coming from the lineage of both Anakin and Luke Skywalker, two people who had arguably the greatest Force potential in the entire galaxy. In fact, Kylo had so much potential that Luke was slightly afraid of him, and Snoke believed he had the potential to become a Jedi of limitless power. He was then trained by both Luke and Snoke and had to hone this ability and potential, making him even more extremely powerful. He's exceptionally skilled at Talkanic attacks, using them to send Rey flying backwards or bring buildings crashing out around him and Skywalker. He's also got the ability of Force Stasis, allowing it to completely freeze objects, whether it's a blaster bolt or a person, and hold it there for at least a few minutes. Kylo's even used this ability to block lightsaber strikes from Rey. Now, yes, Kylo never technically reached the levels of his grandfather or his uncle, With his raw force potential and greater force ability, he'll definitely be able to outforce the Grand Inquisitor here in this fight. So with that being said, who's ultimately coming out on top here? Well, I'm really liking Kylo Ren. I'm not sure they can necessarily win every single time when it comes to a duel, even though he can win some of the times. But when it comes to the Force, well, Kylo can just absolutely dominate it there. He's got way more potential than the Grand Inquisitor, got way more ability. Also, far against people with greater potential and ability than the Inquisitor did too. Specifically talking about Rey. The Grand Inquisitor will be able to put up a fight, especially in the lightsaber dueling department, but Kylo Ren can match him here. Can definitely beat him in the Force. That's leading Kylo to victory here. Kylo Ren wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sign off in the comments down below. Also, be sure the like button, subscribe button, turn on notifications, join the FanCo army, and I will see you next time.